You are listening to the Stop Binge Eating podcast with Kirsten Sarfty, episode number 196. Welcome to the Stop Binge Eating podcast. It's time for you to end your food obsession and begin feeling confident and in control around food. You are absolutely capable of eliminating binge eating from your life, and I'm going to show you how by giving you simple tools and insights that you can apply in your own life. I'm your host, Kirsten Sarfty. Now let's get to it. Hi. Are you always trying to be an A-plus student? Are you always trying to make sure everything is done perfectly? Do you ever think that if it's not perfect, then it's not good enough? Then this episode is for you. Today, I'm talking about B- mentality. And what that is basically the opposite of perfectionism. B- mentality is allowing yourself to not be perfect. It's being okay with good enough. Instead of needing to be an A+ and not accepting anything less than an A+, you're okay with a B-. You accept the B- work. I've noticed that so many people who binge eat get stuck in the perfectionist mindset, not only with eating, but with other things in their life too. Their eating has to be perfect. Their body has to be perfect. They need to be perfect. Their work needs to be perfect, or the things in their life need to be perfect. Now, wanting things to be perfect is not necessarily a problem. It's okay to want things to be perfect. It's okay to strive for perfection. But what matters here is how you respond when you don't achieve perfection. And no matter how hard you try, there will be times when you don't achieve perfection, simply because you're an imperfect human, and so are the people around you that you're working with and living life with. So if your response is to give up if it's not perfect, then working on having a B- mentality might be very beneficial for you. This is because when it's either perfect or fail, perfect or not good enough, all or nothing, there is going to be so much progress that is not made. Instead of moving forward after doing whatever you did that wasn't perfect, you stop, you quit for that moment. This happens a lot for people who are overly restrictive with how they eat. As soon as they eat off their plan, or as soon as they eat a food that they consider to be bad, they quit on the rest of the day. Then they eat even more bad foods and don't bother following the rest of their plan for the day. Once it's no longer perfect, they just give up and stop eating how they truly want to be eating. It happens with binges too. People binge on Friday and then quit trying to not binge for the rest of the weekend. They wait until Monday to start trying again. And what that means is that on Saturday and Sunday, they're not putting in any effort to make progress towards stopping binge eating. They're not even trying to allow urges or work on removing diet mentality from their minds. They're stalling their progress for 2 more days because Friday wasn't perfect. The start of their weekend wasn't perfect, so therefore, they think the whole weekend was a fail. You can see how being in that A+ perfectionist mentality stalls your progress and stops you from making progress you could be making. Now let's imagine that instead of only being okay with A+, you're okay with B-. You eat off your plan. You don't give up on your plan because of it. You just accept what you ate and get back to your plan. You accept your B- for the day. You binge on Friday and you accept it. Then you do some reflection to understand why it happened, and you work on doing better starting right then and there. You accept your B- for the weekend. A binge doesn't have to be an F, a complete failure. Did you feel other urges that day that you didn't give into prior to that urge that you did give into? You get a B- for the day. Did you have other days that week when you didn't binge? You get a B- for the week. Now, as I'm saying this, I want to be clear that I'm not saying you should be grading yourself on your days or on your weeks. That's probably not useful. I mean, maybe it is for you, but I think for most people, it's just not useful. And this, what I'm talking about here, is just a way of explaining and describing not being perfect and doing good enough. What I'm getting at is that the binge doesn't mean that you're not doing well, have completely failed, are not making progress, or are not doing anything right. You don't have to make a binge be a complete failure. It doesn't have to be A+ or F, all or nothing, perfect or fail. Think about weight loss, since I'm sure many of you are familiar with how weight loss goes. So let me use this as an example. Say your goal is to eat in a way that results in 1 pound lost a week. Then 1 week, you eat in a way that results in half a pound. You could say that's a fail because you didn't hit the 1 pound, or you could say that it's good enough. You can call it an F, be disappointed, and that could possibly drive you to give up for the day and just eat without regard to yourself, your body, or your goals, which is probably going to move you farther from your goal, or at least not move you forward. Or you could call it a B minus, be okay with the half pound progress that you made toward your goal, and carry on with how you want to be eating. There is so much B minus work that you're doing when it comes to stopping binge eating that is exactly what will get you to your ultimate goal of stopping. Give yourself credit for it and accept it as being good enough to move you forward. B minus is good enough. And you might not want to think that it is, but it is. Bringing it to school where this letter system obviously originates, B's get degrees. People graduate with B's and become super successful with B's. Doing something with the result of getting a B is better than not doing it at all. B minus work is better than no work. And no work is what you'll do if you're only accepting of A plus and you don't get it. When a mistake or setback happens, you can learn from it and move on instead of making it mean it's not worth doing if it's not perfect and you'll just give up on it today and start over tomorrow and be perfect tomorrow. Be B minus today. Keep going now and get that B minus. And let's be real, it's also way less stressful and you'll be less obsessive if you allow yourself to get B's. You're not so worried about every little thing. You can relax a little bit. You're still going to do your best, but you're not meticulously going over every single detail and evaluating with the utmost scrutiny and then throwing in the towel if everything isn't up to A plus standards. This is your eating we're talking about here. It's not gonna be perfect 100% of the time, and that's okay. And when you're working on stopping binge eating, your eating definitely is not gonna be perfect 100% of the time. You're gonna binge, you're gonna overeat, and that doesn't mean you've failed. You're learning and growing with every binge, every overeat. It's like getting a B minus on a quiz, and you learn from it. So you can do better and get a better grade on the final exam. You're making progress with your B minus work. You're learning and building skills with it. Allow yourself to do good enough. When you let go of perfectionism and see that less than perfect is okay and will still get you where you want to go, you will be able to be so much more relaxed while still putting in effort and making progress. And I'll tell you, a B minus mentality will probably get you to your ultimate goal more quickly than if you only relied on being perfect. And once you get to that goal, if you've allowed B minus work on the way there, your binge-free life will be so much easier to maintain. So choose to be a B minus student when it comes to your eating. Relax. Allow mistakes, allow setbacks, and don't quit when you're not perfect. And put in the effort no matter what happens. All right, now you go be B minus and be okay with it because it is good enough. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Stop Binge Eating podcast. If you like what you heard today and you want more, go to coachkir.com/free. That's COACHKIR.com/free to get some awesome free stuff to help you stop binge eating.